Hello, it is Sunday, fun day, December 6th, 2020. Steve Sipress here. We have some friends coming over again today, so we're all decked out in the holiday spirit here. And so I'll be brief. It should come as no surprise. I'm amazed when people are shocked that one of the two major parties cheated and pulled all kinds of crazy, underhanded, just basically cheating type of things. I don't know it's a function of either party, although I do know that the Democrat Party, being more of the rebel, uh, you know, let's change everything type of party, is more conducive to chicanery. And by definition, the Republican Party, being more conservative, is more bent towards law and order. And these are the rules. And so I remember talking to, I was at a party, I was talking to a couple of Republicans a few months ago, and they were lamenting. They were like, oh, the Democrats are going to just cheat in this election. They were already passing all these rife with voter fraud, mail-in ballot, absentee rules, and all that kind of stuff. They're just going to cheat. I'm like, really? So you guys are just going to sit there and let them steal the election? You know they're going to, and none of the Republicans are smart enough to cheat back? And pretty much, like, no. Like, the conservatives are like, no, law and order. We don't cheat. I was talking to friends of mine, and I mentioned this, and I said, but cheating, stealing is celebrated in our society. Like, Lou Brock stole a lot of bases in baseball. Or it's really good if Tom Brady is really good at a fake handoff. Or a pump fake to fake the defense, faking, cheating, lying, quarterback sneaking, but then he looked at me, he said, yeah, but those are all legal. They're all within the rules. See, these conservatives are all like, but we're only going to do things within the rules. Well, let's go way back, 240 something years ago, to the American Revolution, which is taught and ingrained into every school kid really early on, that's how we won our independence from the big bad British government. You could say that back then the British government would have been the conservatives and we were the rebel, let's change everything, colonists. And so everyone's heard of the Boston Tea Party. Why is it such a surprise? It's one of the most celebrated events in American history. Is Sam Adams and John Hancock and the rest of them, what are the Sons of the Revolution or whatever they call themselves, forming this protest against the Tea Act of the British government, and at the cover of night, they dressed up like Indians and stole their way onto the tea ships of the tea companies coming into the Boston Harbor, and they dumped like 50,000 pounds of tea into the harbor, and took them hours. And they're like, yeah, and still, nobody called the cops on us, whatever, they just outright, blatantly cheated, threw the tea overboard, a criminal act, right out there, fairly in the open. I mean, it was at night and they did dress up, but that's the kind of thing that was celebrated, is look what we did. They did it at night, and we dressed up like Indians, see, so we could blame it on the Indians and not get caught for it. Sam Adams, John Hancock, they didn't want to get caught for it. In fact, little known part of the story that's almost never told is that a whole bunch of the founding fathers were completely against the Boston Tea Party. George Washington was a law and order guy, obviously, became our first president. He was a general. He was a law and order guy. He was like, oh, no, we don't destroy private property. It's one thing to revolt against the government, the oppressive British government with their taxation without representation, but we don't do that by destroying private property, by throwing the tea overboard by a tea company. That's wrong. And Ben Franklin, I remember, offered to even pay for it. He was like, that's so wrong. We don't do that. We're revolutionaries, and we go against the big bad king of England, but we draw the line at destroying private property. We just don't do that, you see, around here. So there was even a divide back then. Do we cheat and throw overboard all the tea so the British government can't tax us for it? Or do we not do that? Same thing with the actual Revolutionary War itself. It celebrated the fact that we used, the American Revolutionary Army used guerrilla warfare tactics, right? Well, the British Army, the big dumb British Army, as I remember being taught as a kid, they just marched straight down the battlefield, playing their fife and drum and waving their flag and wearing their obvious bright red colors. That's the way war was fought back then. We broke the rules and hid in our untrained young kids with no uniforms and whatever musket they had in the closet. They came out and they hid in the forest, and they came out from behind the trees and they shot them when they didn't think it was coming, and all this kind of chicanery and behind the scenes stuff and like doing whatever it takes to win. That's part of the American culture. So is it any surprise that the anti-Trumpers did whatever they had to do to win? I mean, listen to all these witnesses. Any one of them alone, or maybe even 100 of them alone, aren't enough to overturn the election. So they get poo-pooed by the anti-Trumpers. Oh, okay, I saw them cheating on one ballot, and, well, they cursed at me and threw me out of the room. Like, is this enough to throw over 6 different elections in 6 different states? No, but it's certainly a pattern of all this activity, throwing observers out of the room, counting ballots when nobody's there, hiding them under tables and pulling them out from a table, and dead people voting, and people from out of state voting, and people voting twice, and it's 100 here and it's 200 there and it's 1,000 here. And like, the bottom line is the anti-Trumpers, the Democrats and the anti-Trump Republicans, whoever, they were doing whatever it takes in the American spirit, like the Tea Party, like the guerrilla warfare of the American Revolutionary. That's glorified in our culture. That, yeah, we didn't adhere to the rules. We did illegal things to gain our independence. The ends justified the means. So I don't know. I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised anybody is surprised that there was all kinds of cheating and stealing going on to try and take this election away from the American citizens, from the voters who obviously, overwhelmingly, voted for Trump, unless you think we're idiots and we voted for some demented guy who can't even string 2 sentences together without mumbling and not even remembering where he is. Of course that guy didn't win the election. And no wonder he didn't campaign. Everyone knows now why he didn't campaign. I heard somebody put it this way. They said, the Republicans concentrated on the campaign. The Democrats concentrated on the election. That made all the difference. That is perhaps the biggest lesson to be learned from this entire election cheating fiasco. While the Republicans, Trump is out there hitting the road and doing 5 rallies a day, and they had a ground game knocking on doors, and they're campaigning, bring out the vote, get our candidate out there and get the vote out there. And meanwhile, the other side is just saying, we're not going to campaign at all. Screw that. We're just going to concentrate on the election. We're going to change the laws. We're going to cheat. We're going to find all kinds of ways, using, of course, this virus as an excuse, like all the authoritarian, arbitrary anti-Trumpers have been using for 9 months as an excuse to kill the economy and not provide relief to the people and shut down small businesses and cause bankruptcies and divorces and abuses and suicides and whatever, because we just say so. That's the way it is, and that's what's going on. So not surprising at all. I see a comment here. Toby is here. Great seeing you. Not one arrest for voter fraud. Right. Many talk about standing up for law and order. The Justice Department is corrupt. Look, the only ones talking about law and order, like I just said, are the conservatives, the Revolutionary Party, the Liberal Party, the Democrat Party, by definition, similar to the American revolutionaries against the government 250 years ago. Don't talk about law and order. They're fine with rioting and looting. They even make excuses for it. So all summer, we watched the anti-Trumpers, the liberal, the anti-government party, make all kinds of excuses for looting and rioting. Well, that's like reparations, or, people got to vent. And, this is an important thing, and we got to get change no matter how we have to get it. And did you think, is any surprise they were going to want change any way they can get it when it came to the election? Give me a break. Anyway, that will do it. Yeah, it's sad, but I don't know if it's sad. It's America. America's a revolutionary country born with the attitude that we will do whatever it takes, break every law, break every rule, go against the government to establish our own way of life. And that's what you're seeing here, or you saw it, and you're still seeing it being carried on with the election fraud that occurred about a month ago. Anyway, so don't expect it to stop anytime soon is all I'm saying. Like, you're not gonna change the culture. We still glorify all kinds of cheating and results justify the ends justifying the means and all that kind of stuff. And Ace says the philosophy of the left is that the ends justify the means, whatever the damage. Yeah, probably you were typing that while I was saying it. And that's true. And like I said, it's ingrained in the culture because America was born as a leftist organization, the Sons of the Revolution. Revolution, it's a leftist term. We revolted against the king, against the British Empire. We were the revolutionaries. We were the left when we founded the country, and that is still the culture today. Until every kid is taught differently about the Boston Tea Party, that was wrong, that was bad, should never do that, should never go against the king, you should pay all your taxes, never argue about them, never fight about them, never revolt against them, never dress up like an Indian when you're not an Indian and sneak on board to a ship you don't belong on in the middle of the night. No one's taught that. Everyone's taught the opposite. You should do whatever you have to do in the middle of the night, throw everybody out of the counting room, say you're stopping the counting, and then just bring in hundreds of thousands of votes for the guy you want to win. Like, it's the American way. It's just the way it is. And that'll do it. For Sunday, fun day, getting ready for some folks to be coming over. My beautiful wife, Michelle, as usual, the hostess with the mostest, has the place all decked out. That's just the outside, just see the inside. And I'll be back tomorrow with some business building tips on Direct Mail Monday. Catch you then. Over and out. Bye-bye.